a viewer. This viewer asks, what is your take on the current controversy around the e-tolling system? What is your take on the e-tolling system? Ladies and gentlemen, please, if I could just ask you to give us an ear. Thank you.
The tolling system in Gauteng?
Yeah.
Well, the take is that I think the people in particular, the poor people, have been worried that they will have to pay too much because they move up and down in this toll, and then they've been therefore unhappy, particularly the workers. I think they have a point to some degree, but of course, the manner in which things are done these days, toll gates are the way to go because, in a sense, they've got to cater for maintenance of roads, etc. But there is a point as well to say, look, if I just stay this side of the toll and I work on the other side, why should I pay that much? I think there's been a discussion, and people are saying there will be concessions made for the poor people, for the workers. I think the discussions must be allowed to take its course, and I think people should come to some agreements because, as I say, there are specific reasons why the tolls are there. Otherwise, you wouldn't have good roads in the country. And if you've got good roads, they need to be maintained. And particularly roads that are too busy, you need to. How do you balance that? I think given the fact that there's been concern raised, I think people should discuss, and I think they are discussing. They are actually taking some measures that will cater for the poor.
But haven't these discussions come too late? I mean, we've built a lot of the infrastructure on our highways, and it creates the impression that decisions were already made way in advance, and it's only after enormous public resistance has there been brakes put on the process.
No. Once the matter is there, because if we talk about the discussions, it is not every citizen who participates in any plan. So once the plan is there, once it is implemented and people begin to see its impact, it is only then that they say, but we are not happy, we've got concerns here. So I don't think it is too late. Once people realize that this infrastructure is going to disadvantage them, so they have the right to raise the issue. I think what is important, unlike in other countries, once government has decided, it's decided. The fact that here people are saying, let us talk, let us find ways and means of addressing the matter, I think it indicates the special nature of South Africa, that everyone has a space to raise issues, and it will be listened to, and it will be considered.
All right, well, let's start going round the tables here. The business community particularly is here, and let's hear what some of your thoughts are. Liesel, is that Rudland, table number 9? Liesel Rudland, table number 9. If you could stand up and ask your question. We'll get a microphone to you. Liesel, just put your hand up, it's coming. All right, Liesel is with Brand House, another business here in South Africa, and she has thoughts about something I think that you've spoken about. So let's hear what her question is.
Morning, Mr. President.
Morning.
Mr. President, yesterday you mentioned the issue of BEE fronting in South Africa, and we know that this is an area that's very topical. You didn't particularly mention what the plans are or the detail around it. So what's of interest to me, we are multinational. There are many multinationals that are investing in South Africa, and the whole matter of BEE and how we can contribute to growing our economy is a challenge. And I guess the question is, in instances where you have individuals who are abusing the privileges that BEE has allowed, what are the plans or some detail in terms of how this fronting is going to be addressed in future? Thank you.
Well, if I hear you very well, you want the details, what happens to those who would be found fronting. And I'm sure those details would be worked out. As I said, we are deciding now, having realized that there's a lot of fronting, and it does not help this policy of BEE. It gives a false impression.
Yes, sir.
It has happened for a long time. We've realized it. Companies will come and say, here we are, we're a company, we've got the BEE, we've complied. But in reality, it will be fronted. We have now come to know. We are now saying, since it is now a fact, it's no longer a speculation, we need to stop it. And therefore, we are going to, in a sense, say fronting is an offense. Now, this is what we are putting in place. We'll then work out what punishment will be. So we can't say it right now. Once this has become law, it will then also mean that we've got to say fronting will be punished, what form of it, what will be the punishment. So the details will come once we have made the law. What we are saying at the moment, we are taking a decision that fronting is wrong, it must be stopped. It gives a false impression of the black and economic empowerment, because we need a genuine one. We need partnering. It must be a real partnering. It must not like, it's just like a fellow employed, but in the name that is part of the business. It's not helping. The details of the punishment will come, I'm sure, once the law is there.
Okay. Leanne, where are you? You've been collecting a lot of these questions, so let's go to you and take the next question.
All right, thank you very much, Peter. I've got a table from table 26, Gavin Jude. Gavin, whereabout are you? There we go. Your question to the President this morning.
Thank you, our honourable President, our beloved honourable President. Good morning to you. The State of the Nation address brought a lot of appeal, but sadly, I must say on behalf of the workers, we don't understand this because we've heard a lot of this before. And my question to you, President, is what is there different that you can say that can reach the heart of people, of ordinary workers? Thank you.
Well, I think if you talk about the workers would want to get jobs. And when we talk about jobs, we are touching the people, I believe. Now, we've been saying we need to create jobs. We talked about this not yesterday, but the previous State of the Nation address. And we said jobs were the critical element of what we are trying to do. What we have done now, we have said, what is it that we talk about as jobs? So we've created the environment where jobs are going to be created. If we say we have a plan for a massive infrastructure, we are actually saying there is going to be money for it. We are creating the environment so that private sector will see the opportunities to invest. That means creating jobs. I think it is talking to the plight of the workers. Because without the increase in the economic activities, there will be no jobs. The infrastructure says we are going to have more activities, we are going to put money, we are going to create the opportunities for investment, and therefore the logical consequence of that is jobs. So I don't know what is it that the workers would say we don't understand. Because as I was saying, it talks to everything. Because once jobs are there, then it means many citizens of this country will be able to earn some salary. And therefore the quality of life will change. So it is talking to everybody else. Because you cannot have jobs without the private sector investing. They've got to invest, they've got to create, therefore, the opportunities. Government creates the opportunity for investment, the investors come, that creates opportunities for jobs. I think that's how it goes.
But Mr. President, but I think at the beginning of his question, and this is something that's been coming through on the social network pages, is we are brilliant at planning. You know, South African government, we can sit down, plan until the cows come home. But there's a disconnect between the plans and then actually things happening on the ground. And I was just wondering what it is that needs to happen so that we take action rather than constantly having and dreaming up these elaborate plans which sound great. And if they did get played out, they would get the results that you're looking for.
I think, my brother, we have said we want to do things differently. There are a number of things that government has done, which I think people don't notice at times. We have created, for an example, the Performance Monitoring and Evaluation Department, which says government must see to that things happen. We have said we are emphasizing here the implementation of our plans. In other words, because we are aware of the kind of gaps and weaknesses, we, for an example, established the Presidential Infrastructure Coordinating Commission. That is doing things in a different way. So you have got a very focused attention to this, which is looking at the plans as well as the implementation of the plans. It's no longer like just government as usual. We've pulled together everything and we are saying, here we are focusing, we are putting the time frames. I've just said, we are in fact going to enhance the law that allowed the 2010 infrastructure to be done within a short space of time. This is what I said we are going to be doing. That is the manner in which we ensure implementation of our programs. So that is what we are doing. And I'm sure down the line, you will see the difference. Absolutely.
All right. Mr. President, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we return, we'll ask Leanne to pose some more questions. And I think there's some emails, tweets that are coming.